What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Political Spectrum Podcast. For those of you that don't know, we are a podcast that collects people with different political opinions on the political spectrum, gets them together and talk about recent news, such as the election. All right, so originally we were going to talk about criminal justice reform, but as all of you probably already know, we had some big news just pop up regarding Hillary Clinton and things, and the FBI reopening up her case, sort of.
We'll get into it.
We'll get into it. Reopening her case or investigating more. So that's what we're going to be discussing today, for the most part, and how we think this is going to affect the election, both in the polling and if this might turn the favor towards Trump. So let's start off with, we'll start with the background. I know, Danny, you want to talk a little bit about the background, and everyone else can chime in?
Well, to start with introductions, I'm Danny. I'm the liberal of the group, and Anthony Weiner is never allowed to use my computer.
I am Frank, the token Republican of the group.
I'm Charlie, the patriot, and you know what? Anthony Weiner, don't care for the guy, but I owe him a debt of gratitude.
Wow.
And I'm Paul, I'm the libertarian, and I'm just enjoying the show because I hate both candidates. All right, so Danny, you want to start with some of the background on the case before it was reopened or the investigation started again?
Well, for starters, I'd like to clarify something. It's not a reopening. The way the FBI works is they don't ever close cases. They're now investigating further information relevant to the Clinton case. The case was never closed as you would typically define it. So all this talk of reopening in a way that implies something, I feel like it implies something more than just what the FBI is getting at. That's just something I kind of want to clarify. Okay, so they got more info that could turn the favor on the case. Is that fair to say? It's info relevant to the case in the sense that it might just be duplicate emails. And it could turn the tide. Could, but what I just mean to say is this isn't some grand thing that forced them to go back into it because they found new, or they didn't find like damning evidence. They just found more information, and because they have to investigate, they are continuing to investigate. The only reason it seems like a reopening of a case is the way the case was handled by Comey. But that's where we're going to get into with the background of the case. For about a year, the FBI was investigating Clinton's use of a private email server. And everyone else, feel free to chime in too if you have any knowledge on the background too. Oh, of course. It was basically her time as Secretary of State. At the head of the State Department, she was using a private email server and a private email, and the FBI had to investigate. Basically, if classified information was mishandled, how it was mishandled, and basically they had to investigate the private email server and all things about it. And in that time period, she deleted those emails, even though she was subpoenaed. Yeah,
like an honest person would, Paul, obviously. The first sign of an innocent person is destroying evidence, like Oliver North.
Okay, so and they did their appropriate investigating, and Comey made the statement that she was basically in the clear for the most part, correct? Yes, the decision of the FBI was that there was not sufficient evidence of criminal negligence that legally justified any kind of legal action at Clinton or her aides. So that's one thing, that's one particular point I want to touch on a little bit to get everyone's opinion on that. Do you guys think that the FBI's decision on this matter was the correct decision? We'll start with Charlie, and we'll go with Frank, then we'll finish off with Danny, and then myself. Charlie?
No, I do not. Look, at the very least, she committed perjury. Like, Reason.com did an excellent thing. where they took video of Comey's statement, and then they took video of her testimony before Congress, and they just showed it side by side. So you have like Clinton saying, for example, like there were no emails labeled classified or top secret, and then you have Comey. Several emails were labeled classified or top secret, and no one else had access. Other third parties may have had access. There was only one device. Several devices were used. So she straight up lied, at the very least, and should have been charged with perjury. Mishandling classified information is a crime. People have gone to prison for a lot less than this, but the Clintons are a protected class, so of course something happened to her, which was the basis of Comey's statement. Comey basically said, yes, this is bad. And he straight up said, if other people did this, they would be prosecuted and there would be consequences. But because this is Hillary Clinton, it's all good, yo.
Frank, what do you think?
It definitely violates the Espionage Act, which by leaking it to a different server. I've been reading reports that it's in the thousands. That's apparently on Wiener's server. But he's now
here's something we should specify. Even the fact that this is related to Anthony Weiner, we do not technically know. We are going off all kinds of.
He said he's working with the FBI and he's collaborating.
Yeah, but
I do want to clarify Danny's point because he is correct. They're not allowed to release any information because it's an FBI investigation, so they're not allowed to release anything they find public. Yeah. It's done.
Let's just go with the so-called leaks that could be true.
I just want to specify we're seeing conflicting leaks is all I'm pointing out.
Yeah.
So we don't know the number of the emails. We're relatively sure that the information being leaked is confirmed that it is related to Anthony Weiner, but even that we cannot truly verify.
Well, it's good to let the audience know that it could be in the thousands.
Yes, leaks. No. I just wanted to clarify that all the information relevant to this new forthcoming is entirely based on leaks and current ongoing reporting.
Oh yeah. But regardless of the fact, if they find any emails related to national security or whatever, because I think Hillary has said in the past that there are no other emails in on any other servers or etc. And now we are finding out that was a lie and it is a violation under the Espionage Act. So I'm just curious to see what's going to happen because the FBI would not issue a warrant if there was no damning emails or there has to be something that's in the emails. Go ahead.
I just want to jump in with a few additional notes. The FBI has to issue a warrant because this is an unrelated case to why they were looking at Anthony Weiner's computer, assuming this information is correct. Okay. That's part of why Comey had to send the letter because they had to then go and file for warrants.
Yeah.
So they have to file for a warrant, period, whether there's new information or not.
Well, I wish Harry Reid knew that and other Democrats that are calling Comey's action a double standard and a disgrace, which is incredible.
Actually, the reaction to this whole Comey thing is really interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. And the Republicans, too, some Republicans.
Oh, yeah, we can talk about that because it's basically Comey's been a political hot potato for the last 6 months.
And let me just talk a little bit about...
I'm looking at Washington Post right now. I mean, let's see here. Where is that? Here it is.
That's the article. Oh, God.
No, it's just like in July 6th, we have Republicans attack Mr. Comey for doing his job. And now, October 29th, James Comey is damaging our democracy.
Oh, yeah. I saw that article.
Well,
anything that opposes Clinton is damaging to democracy. Remember that.
Okay, well, first of all,
oh, God.
First of all, check the byline. Just because it's the same publication doesn't mean it's the same writer.
Oh, you're right. Well, the first one was the editorial board. The second one was people on the editorial board.
Well, the Washington Post has the ideology to say so that they don't. They have an agenda.
Yeah.
All right, so,
but one other thing I wanted to chime in with about the perjury thing. Several perjury lawyers actually came out and discussed the issue back when the decision was made by Comey and he had his testimony, because obviously some Republicans then were crying perjury. The Clinton hearing that we're referring to is the Benghazi hearing from October of 2015, and several of the perjury lawyers pointed out that's near the very beginning of the FBI's full-on investigation. Between then and Comey's statements, it is very difficult to prove actual lying on Clinton's part, because she had to, at the time, knowingly be lying, as opposed to being wrong when she said that, as more information was discovered during the FBI investigation, because she very well just could have been wrong in the testimony. Perjury is, legally speaking, a knowing lie. And the perjury lawyers...
I agree. I agree. She's very slimy and difficult to catch. Look, I mean, I'm a future law student. I know a little bit about this. And basically, what I know about the law, and I'm going to go into this field probably, but it has made me very distrustful of legalese, where basically you have people going free based on technicalities. And yeah, you're right. Maybe there is not solid enough evidence to convict her of perjury. But I think for me and for a lot of people, the evidence is sufficient. And in the court of public opinion, I would say not good. That's the legal term.
I don't know. The reason there's a distinction with perjury about knowing lies is, even on this podcast, I've made several minor mistakes that I realized after the fact that...
That's impossible.
You are never wrong, Danny. Never.
No, I'm not.
I endorse Danny corrects 100% of the time.
But Dan, you don't have a history as egregious as Hillary's, which is...
No, I know.
Incredible.
I know. There's the perception thing. All I mean is, when we're talking in regards to the hearing, whether she committed perjury or not, I think there is, even in the assumption she's lying to the public, I think there is a certain reasonable doubt in whether she was actively lying under oath.
But she did destroy the emails when they were subpoenaed, correct?
What's going on?
I'm honest. I honestly would have to double check some of that information. It's been a while since I went over that.
But the fact that
data,
she said there were no other sources where these emails could be found, and now we don't know how true that is with the current investigation. But if she's wrong, it could be a sign of just the fact that she lied.
Nixon was absolutely destroyed for a lot less than this.
Well, Nixon was a lot more hated. So
actually, let that serve as a warning to the Vichy Republicans who think we can maybe work with the Democrats and they'll be nice to us. Look, if they destroy Richard Nixon, who was by no means a hard right guy, they will have no mercy for you, National Review.
He's talking about you, Frank.
I mean, I don't think...
No, not you, Frank. You're a nice guy. I like you.
No, I am one of those Republicans, but I'm more fearful of Trump suing National Review and shutting it down. And
oh, no, not National Review, that invaluable publication.
As long as it's been secure,
it's not as valuable as Breitbart.
Hey, Breitbart is like the gospel, okay?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing wrong there.
Okay.
All right, let's go. We're getting off topic.
We're getting off topic. Okay, so I mentioned this a little bit before, but just general reactions from both Republicans and Democrats have been very interesting. We mentioned this a little bit. So obviously Republicans were calling out Comey for fucking, saying that he was a political hack, et cetera. And Democrats were saying that he was the best thing since sliced bread. But
not anymore.
But this Friday the tides have mostly turned a 180, and now Republicans are saying, that guy, he's a great guy, great FBI, great FBI hero, and the Democrats are like, nope, I'll undermine, one of you said, undermining democracy. Fuck him, and he's just trying to throw it to the Republicans, and I bet he's a Russian too. So
he actually is Putin.
That is true. There is evidence to show that he is actually Vladimir Putin. For those of you that don't know. Okay, so what do you got? What are you guys' reaction to the 180? Do you think that's just politics in general? Because normally you'd be pissed. A normal person that's not politically on the left or politically on the right would say, okay, he's clearly a political hack, no matter what. You know what I mean? And Ben Shapiro made this point. I was watching him today. He's like, fuck him anyway. Like, listen, he might be doing the right thing now, but it's for the wrong reasons. What do you guys think? Shout out Ben Shapiro. I know Charlie doesn't like him, but shout him out.
That's okay. I cleaned up my vomit already. Well,
tasty.
Well, thank you. No, I mean, look, a lot of people, again, as you know, I have no great love for the Republican Party. And a lot of them are now saying, oh, Frank Comey is this great warrior for democracy. Like, no. My opinion of him did rise a little bit, but I think it's more like the guy seems like just sort of a hapless person who's just kind of caught in a really bad situation. I kind of feel for the guy, honestly. My perception of him improved slightly, but I don't think he's a warrior, hero, God King, or a villain. I think he's just a person trying to do their job and sometimes doing better than others. But, I mean, I would be amazed if he wasn't getting pressured behind the scenes.
So you don't think that Republicans... you don't think that the Republicans are correct in their saying that he's now the God King?
No, he is not the God King. That is Trump.
Okay, fair enough.
Well...
All right, Danny, Frank, you want to jump in?
Frank, you go first.
Oh, thank you. As Charlie said, I don't see him as this warrior of the fight for democracy. I think he's trying to balance his job and the politics between it, and that's a hard thing to do. And it's I don't think anybody would want that job, but he's definitely he made mistakes in the past, and we'll see what happens now. But I think he's being pressured, and who knows what's going on here.
As we say in the South, bless his heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even after the decision not to suggest any legal action be taken towards Clinton back in July, I never really thought wildly of Comey, in part because the whole handling of the public aspect of the FBI's investigation has been, by all accounts, terrible for the FBI alone. He has set unprecedented standards now for an FBI investigation. That the reason they don't come forward with this information, they're not even supposed to come out and say if they're investigating, typically, because they are not a public branch of government.
Wait.
Well, the background of the case is that he sent letters to heads to congressmen, correct, who are part of committees.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's information that gets shared, obviously, especially with the.
Just so that they know. I don't think he went specifically public, or did he? I don't think he did.
I don't think he was on ABC News saying.
No, I'm talking even the press conference where he came out and said his
verdict, basically.
That is unprecedented. That in and of itself, the testimony publicly being done, there's a lot of.
Well, I mean, if you look at, we have the first candidate with a criminal investigation.
No, it's a tough situation to be in, but I'm saying his handling of it has been, by a lot of accounts, a disaster for the FBI, because he's now set a standard that can be pointed to in future investigations. So even the FBI isn't happy on the whole with the precedent that he has set with this investigation.
True, and a lot of people say that the reason why he just went out publicly to do it is, well, one, it is a presidential race, so people probably would want to know, and two, people think that he was bought out by the Clinton campaign. I'm not going to jump on that ship, but it is a possibility. So I mean, and it is an unprecedented thing for an FBI director to do. But
I mean,
what would have been the best way to go about it if the case was to end? Who would be doing this press conference? Like,
Loretta Lynch, I'm telling you, she is non-corruptible.
She's so solid.
She is. Let me tell you, she's the best candidate. I mean, when you talk about unprecedented, you have Lynch meeting with Bill Clinton on a runway, which I don't think is legal. I don't know if you can.
They were talking about what did they say? They were talking about like their children or something.
Yeah, their children.
We were talking about our children for 45 minutes.
Yeah,
they were talking
about the Trump effect, Paul, and how bullying is on the rise.
I mean, this whole president election has been unprecedented. You have the Lynch meeting with Bill Clinton, the husband of the person being investigated under the Justice Department. I mean, I think it puts a lot of agencies in a fucked position after this election.
These are political elites, though.
Sorry,
these are the political elites. Like there's the people on the right have this idea about these people that they're all corrupt anyway, and
because they are.
This is only this is only helping that narrative.
This is showing Republicans aren't as paranoid as they seem.
I will say
like it's true or something.
I will say Comey's decision. It even hypothetically, it's possible Lynch could have pressured him, but Comey is in a position where he does not answer to Lynch. Lynch just would have been in the position to take the recommendation that Comey gave and acted on it. It would have been way more of a conflict if Comey had said, "We suggest charges," and Lynch doesn't follow. We ended up in this weird.
It's like circle-y thing.
Yeah, we're in this weird spot where
purgatory.
Maybe something is possible, but we'll never really know because even the way the situation unfolded, it didn't matter.
Good wording.
Well, we are kind of in a bit of a purgatory, but here's the thing: if you read your Dante, you will know that all the souls in purgatory will eventually reach paradise, and I think at long last we can see the pearly gates come November 8th.
So there was an interesting theory that again Ben Shapiro presented, and I was watching him earlier today, and that's the only reason why I'm bringing it up. He says that he said that the reason why it's kind of like being made public now. He sent the thing to the congressional people now rather than after the election. Is because that he believes that if it was done after the election, it would have been seen as a political hack, because it would have been done after Hillary would have won the election. So he has to do it now when before the election. Otherwise, he seems in like very, very muddy water at that point. So, and that's the theory that he presented. What do you guys think about that aspect? Do you think he should have waited?
Clinton pardon herself?
Obama would have to pardon her.
Ah, okay, cool. Regarding that, I would just say, ideally, right, in a perfect world, this kind of thing shouldn't be politicized. But we don't live in a perfect world. Our system has been politicized. I think last time we talked about the Supreme Court and how it's not supposed to be a political body, but it has become a political body.
We have three legislative bodies now. It's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, if you'll permit me a brief digression, I've been immensely influenced by the thought of the German philosopher Oswald Spengler, and he wrote about how
you don't say.
I know, right? Shocking. He wrote about how as civilizations decay, all cultural institutions and all legal institutions become politicized. So I think this sort of thing was just sort of inevitable. So I don't like that Comey had to make a political calculation, but it is a sign of the times, and it's inevitable.
Okay, fair enough. Frank, what do you think about this the statement?
I'm like sneezing up a storm.
You okay?
I think it was also as Charlie said, inevitable. But I don't think he did this so he wouldn't be perceived as a hack. I think it was just a coincidence that there was something on allegedly something on Anthony Weiner's computer, and they had to reopen a new. They actually never closed the case, as Dan said. So to go back into this, so I don't.
They just made a verdict, which I guess subjectively is closing the case. They're not investigating anymore.
Yeah, it was a de facto closing of the case.
Yeah.
That's a good way of putting it. Only because there's a legal, again, there's kind of an important distinction.
Sure, no, it was not a de jure closing; it was a de facto.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
It's good to distinguish.
But I don't think Comey is just doing this to improve his reputation out of the blue. I think this is just all coincidence.
I think he's trying to save face for the FBI. I think,
but I don't think he's continuing this investigation purely on that.
Oh no, I meant the letter.
Yeah. Oh, the letter. The letter, I think he just sent, because I don't know if he has to send a letter out to the congressional heads.
Supposedly, because again, this is why his testimony frustrates people within the FBI. Because he testified, his testimony at the time
to these people.
What
was it? To these people?
To Congress.
Right. Yeah.
His testimony under oath is, as far as the FBI closing or ceasing the investigation de facto, his testimony became void, is what some people were saying, because they're now having to go back into the well. So he had to send them this letter basically to let them know the change about what happened.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. Actually,
that's supposedly what it is. And
that's also how it got out
behind the letter. Yeah, I think certainly among Democrats who are keeping their calm, obviously some are losing their shit. But
Podesta, Reed.
Well, Reed's losing his shit. Podesta's making a calculation. There's a difference.
Well, Podesta, I just laugh at the fact that they're requesting that the FBI release all information with this investigation. I don't think any law enforcement agency is supposed to do that.
And that's illegal to do. They're not allowed to do that.
Yeah,
not allowed to have an open case.
Yeah, which is incredible that they're asking that.
It's going to be.
I don't think.
This actually leads me to my next question, but Danny, did you want to make a point on the political hack thing, or did you?
Basically, the point I would make is I don't think Comey is being a political hack for the sake of influencing the election. I think he made the decision that the FBI is going to lose face on this no matter what.
Right.
He set them up spectacularly to lose face in this cycle. Like, every step of the way, he's managed to hurt the FBI's reputation one way or another. He basically had to make the decision, do I send this after the election and get shit for my entire bureau, or do I send it before and get shit? And he made that decision. That's basically what I believe as far as that's concerned. What I would say is that letter is frustratingly vague.
It was.
There's a certain.
I definitely agree with that. I read it earlier today.
Well, I mean, they just started the investigation. There has to be some kind of damning email or something that they found.
And I want to
actually supposedly they couldn't even really get into it. They just know that it's there.
Yeah,
because of the
that which makes sense.
And they don't know. They don't know if there's anything damning. But that's why his letter is so frustrating. He should have, and I agree with this telling, because I think a few people have pointed out that if the shoe were on the other foot with like a Trump investigation, Democrats would be gleeful, Republicans would lose their shit. But
that's true. I agree with
that. Ideally, one
traders would be happy. Yeah.
One reporter, I think from Vox.
Oh God!
Great pay.
Vox is the gold standard.
Why'd you call them a reporter?
I'm just citing the site. All right. On his Twitter account, pointed out that ideally, if this was an investigation under either candidate, that was being opened back up, Comey should have come out and been more clear about the fact that we don't know what's in this. We don't know if it's damning, because the way he words it is so frustratingly vague.
Well, because he doesn't know yet, right?
There is something,
but it invites the speculation, and I think that's the problem.
Okay, now I want to make a point here because I'm trying to make a point, and I want to get all of your reactions on it. So the way that this case is handled, it's closed, as you all know. I mean, closed as in it's not public. That's what I mean. So the case is open, but it's, you can't see it. So at this point, there's a lot of speculation that the result of this isn't going to be found out until after the election. Okay, that's what a lot of people are saying, and honestly, that's probably what it's going to end up being, because it's going to take a while to fish through all those emails. So I want all of your opinions on this, the fact that how this is affecting the election right now, because obviously it's going to negatively affect Clinton. I think we can all agree on that. So do we think, let's say 3 weeks from now, they come out with the conclusion that this had nothing to do with anything, and Trump wins the election. I mean, then it didn't have an effect, right? So I just want your opinion on what do you think the result of this not being shown until after the election. What are your all opinions? We'll start with Charlie, because he didn't speak for a while.
Oh, I was just enjoying. Well, I do just a little bit of it's a digression, but it is related.
Okay.
When this story broke, I wanted to test a little theory of mine, or hypothesis, I should say. So I just started checking some headlines in various news sources, and the three that kind of stuck out to me were obviously my boys over at Breitbart, my less than boys over at Fox News, and then my dear friends at CNN. And so now Breitbart and Fox are actually pretty similar, and that doesn't happen too often. They were both pretty ecstatic, like, oh, trouble for Clinton, new emails emerge. And then CNN had this kind of like heroic-looking picture of Clinton, like, pumping her fist, and it says, "Clinton demands answers." It's like, no bias at CNN.
To be fair, that is the more recent story since the break is all.
Yeah, but does it really match in magnitude? Like, here's the story. Okay, but now more importantly, here's the candidate's response to the story. But that's just a brief digression. What I would say about this affecting the election is, I mean, of course it can affect the election. This is a very turbulent election. Things are a little crazy, and this is kind of a godsend for my people. We are very happy. Yes, the future with the rustic farmers looks a lot more. That looks a lot more like a much more of an option now. Thank God. But the thing is, we just don't know, and we don't know what's going to happen. But I'm very happy that something has happened to basically throw a rock in the pond, and we'll see how the ripples pan out. But I'm optimistic, which is a rare thing for me.
I can attest to that. Danny, Frank, whichever one of you wants to go first.
I'll let Dan go ahead.
All right. Well, what did you want me to comment on with this part again?
Regarding how this,
I kind of lost track with
regarding how this is going to affect the election, because the results aren't going to be shown until after the election's over, so it could have an effect when it could have meant nothing anyway.
Right. On the election, I think the more substantial effect this is going to have on the Senate, in all honesty. I know that sounds counterintuitive.
Go ahead.
Clinton's lead is so large, and in the states that give her the electoral college, they are insurmountable. I think if it'll hurt her margin of victory and dampen her chances of a mandate or whatever, it certainly hurts her from reaching 50%, which, depending on which polls are most accurate, she was inching close to. But the Senate races, there's actually several of them that are within 2 points by most polling accounts, which creates an issue. In a Clinton landslide, all boats rise, but in a Clinton's less than landslide, because it's still not gonna quite be a squeaker, I don't think. It puts things very close in some of those races and gives the Republicans a better chance of keeping the control of the Senate, I think.
Can I ask something real quick here? Is that okay, Paul?
Yes, go right ahead.
I mean, obviously you think
we'll
Clinton's going to win. Sure, no, I'll be quick, I promise. Obviously you think Clinton's going to win. I don't blame you for thinking that. But I mean, even the blessed Nate Silver gives Trump over a 20% chance of winning. So, like, how is this insurmountable?
It's insurmountable because part of the reason the 21% is currently what Nate Silver is giving him on
until the new polls come out next week. That's based on
that's very true.
That's based on existing polls.
But even then, they've been kind of researching the October surprises of past and their effects on the polls, and everything they've turned up said every October surprise on record only moved the polls about 1 or 2 points, which is actually about the same. It moved the polls back in July when the FBI made the decision originally. So even if Clinton's lead shrinks 2 points, it increases Trump's likelihood. But part of the reason his chances are so low is the Electoral College. He has to run the gambit.
He really just has to
the blessed Nate Silver takes into account the Electoral College.
No, I know. I'm saying the reason her chances are still about 80 is, barring some polling errors, she doesn't even need several of the states she has the lead in. Trump needs to run the gambit.
Well, like North Carolina.
Trump has always been the underdog in this, but
I don't
that hasn't
disagree.
stopped us.
I'm saying it's not. Nothing has ever moved the polls so drastically in this election to make up for the gap that exists currently.
I mean, we'll find out.
And there has
next
never
week.
been anyone like the God Emperor.
We'll find out next week what the polls will represent. But Frank, your position on how this will affect the election and with the thing coming afterwards, the results coming after.
Well, if I remember our conversation yesterday when we were drinking, which is I remember now.
Good time.
Shameful.
You drank last night too.
I'm also
We're
shameful.
in the bar. Well, that's okay. We all are deep down. But this dampens her. I want to say it does dampen her landslide victory, which was, I believe, key to her winning the Senate. Because I'm looking at the polls right now, and this could change next. It's like what Paul said. Next week polls, this could tilt it towards Toomey in Pennsylvania. Kelly Ayotte is already is ahead by 2.7 in New Hampshire. Portman, Grassley, Rubio. This could tilt it towards the Republicans, which is key.
And Frank's a Rubio guy, by the way, guys.
Yeah. But with the
I actually voted for Rubio. It just crushed my soul.
I donated $45 to little Marco, and I hope he uses it wisely next time.
He's using it for his Senate race.
All in one place, little Marco.
Little Marco. But
he used it reading tweets.
I mean, from what I've been reading, Trump is now tied in Florida, tied in different states, and he's gaining ground. We'll see what next week's show is. But Politico said that this doesn't change the mind of 69% of voters.
There was a statistic somewhere, and I want to make this point, and then I'll let you continue. But it says that I don't remember where I read this, but I'll look into it later, and I'll put it in the description if I can find it. But it said that I believe that 30% of Hillary voters, people that were going to vote for Hillary, might change their mind as a result of that. Might.
Right in Bernie campaign. Right in.
These are the independents anyway. But
vote for the blessed Jill Stein. That woman is a saint.
Well, Jill Stein's going to win the election, in my humble opinion.
the leftovers.
Jill Stein's gonna come in 5th in a 2-person race.
I love old crazy communists who just can't help telling the truth. Like, these are just my people. I love them so much.
That's my whole college career. But I with this, it has a chance of having tilting it towards Trump, because you have 69%, but the rest of the independents may surprisingly go for him and keep battleground states. So it has this. I wouldn't say a large chance, but a small chance of tilting it towards them.
So I want to make a point here. So I think that this specific situation, I think it's really going to galvanize Republicans and independents who lean towards the right, because I guess independents in general, because they already see corruption. They already think that the media is bought out. Everything's corporate America. They're all in collusion with one another, and that fits the narrative.
They are.
And in my opinion, like when I heard that they're reopening, they're investigating more, whatever. I was legitimate. I'm personally legitimately angry. Like even I have more of a tendency to say maybe I'll vote for Trump. Like I'm not, but I've never felt more.
Join us, Paul.
I've never felt more galvanized to vote against Hillary Clinton than I have been this week.
I think Paul's going to reveal something to us. I think Paul's going to say he's going to vote for Trump. This is but
I'm still
Paul, you're my best friend. You're my best friend, Paul. Paul, come vote for Trump.
I want to make.
It's just there have people who have been charged with things Hillary has done, and like prone to jail. It's just I feel happened to her, and in a way, I'm just used to that, and it's just sad if you look at it in one perspective.
So,
Frank, don't worry. There is a candidate running who will overturn the and who will give you justice.
What's his name? McMullen?
That's
Go ahead.
why we all have to vote for Evan McMullen.
Evan McMullen. There you go.
Oh God, what a cuck!
All right. So I do want to talk about some of the polls, because what Danny said, it changes about 1 or 2% things that happen in October or things that happen in general. So I believe in North Carolina, I believe he's down by 2, so it could turn North Carolina.
On the national level, I want to clarify.
It will almost definitely turn Florida, because that's the tie right now. So Trump will be in the lead at least.
I voted in Florida yesterday, actually.
Hey.
I sent in my ballot. So yeah, hey.
I guess we all know who you voted for.
It will solidify
Evan McMullen, Frank.
Good.
It will solidify Ohio, but he still has to win a state like Missouri or something. What are some of the other battleground states that I know Clinton are up like 5% in? Danny, do you know them?
Up 5% in?
Like 5-6%, like technically battleground states.
RearClear.com. Shout out.
Technically, the only 3 battleground states where Clinton has less than like an 80% chance of winning are Nevada, North Carolina, and Florida. Well, as of this minute.
But just to clarify, to everybody watching this, next week with new polls could change. So
yes, and they likely will, because
we're just
so it could turn Arizona. It could turn Arizona, North Carolina, and Florida to Trump's favor, but that won't affect the Electoral College, if I'm understanding correctly, right, Danny? Clinton would still win on those 3 states?
No, actually, if he wins those 3, I believe he would win.
Then he's got, wow. Okay, good.
But
Charlie, you got a really good shot.
But I'd like to point out.
I've said this all along.
All right, Danny, sorry, I'm interrupting you. Go ahead.
I'd like to point out that in Nevada, early voting has been going on, and the Democrats are smoking their numbers, just blowing previous records away. In like Clark County, I believe, is one that I was seeing some numbers for earlier. And some analysts are suggesting that those numbers are now hitting a point where there's such a lead in Nevada going into Election Day. It's very much increasing the likelihood Clinton keeps Nevada, which was barely a battleground state to begin with.
I wouldn't
North
say
Carolina,
that. They're Republican, but let's just,
electorally speaking for this election.
Okay. Well, according to the
I
Real
mean-
Clear average, he's only up by 1.7. That could change with next week.
Well, I mean, look,
So-
if you pad the ballot box, anything is possible.
That is true.
Are dead people voting? Who
Pat the-
knows?
They are, and they're voting Democrat, strangely enough.
Oh no. All right. So we talked about how it could potentially affect the election. So let's do say that this does turn the tide, hypothetically.
Can I
Um,
actually also just point something out though about all this polling stuff though with the 1 or 2 points? A thing that we're still going to have to consider going into election day is Clinton and the Democrats' ground game
It's fantastic. Yeah.
is light years beyond what Obama had, and Trump's is worse than McCain's. Like
Fair enough.
it's non-existent.
So
1 or
I-
2%
That's
points
because we
might.
will overcome through sheer will.
I'm
Yeah.
just assuming, but Trump has a diehard block of voters that I don't think has ever been seen in this like any election cycles in U.S. history.
We think he's okay.
So yeah,
He does.
Danny's gonna make a point. I know you were about to make a point. Go on.
He does, but one thing to consider is the diehard supporters that we're talking about, and the thing people point to are the primary turnout.
The deplorables.
hey,
Hey,
But the thing about the primary turnout is those were all Republican general election voters who had never taken part, who never participated in the primary. He still has to expand past Mitt Romney's ceiling,
okay,
which means he has to win every state Romney won and one more. So
Yeah,
he has to win he has to win North Carolina, because even if he loses North Carolina, it doesn't matter if he wins Florida, Ohio, Iowa, Arizona, Alaska, and Nevada, he still loses.
I can't believe I'm defending
And-
Trump right
and
now.
those
are-
You're not.
Sorry, what?
You're not mentioning that
Right.
there are many voters who are not going to vote just because they dislike both candidates. There's going to be voters who are going to be writing in Bernie Sanders because I've been reading it, which is hilarious. And there's
Third party.
multiple factors in this election that we have to take into account besides the Republican primary. There are going to be people who are just afraid to admit that they're Republican Trump supporters. So it's too volatile.
Yeah, that this is.
No,
This
but
is
I don't know why they would be afraid to admit they're Trump supporters when a homeless woman was attacked by a mob for defending Trump's Hollywood star.
Oh boy.
By a
All right.
young, diverse crowd of tolerant millennials.
Yes, and they attacked that deplorable, right? Right, Charlie?
But I'm just saying there's way
That
too many.
homeless black woman had it coming, obviously, for being a
There's a
filthy
lot of-
Hitler supporter.
There's a lot of factors that go beyond just a ground game in this election. That I believe voter turnout is going to be. I don't know if it's going to be high or low. I'd be interested to know.
I do want to
I'm-
bring up a hypothetical situation right now. So again, this is just a hypothetical, but let's say Clinton still wins the election. Charlie, don't cry. But
No, I would just get very, very drunk. That's okay.
I will also get very, very drunk. But I would get drunk
So
if
will
I would get drunk if either of them won. So it doesn't really matter. So
I'll
let's
be
say
shocked.
Hillary.
Well, it's supposed to be happy drunk and sad drunk, Paul.
That's true. So that's
Just a neutral drunk.
okay. So let's say Hillary Clinton wins the election, and then something comes out afterwards with this investigation that she did at some point, break the law, and she is like under, she could potentially be arrested. So if this happens, what are your theories on what could happen? Do you think Obama would pardon her? Or do you think that she would end up in jail and Tim Kaine takes his
Oh,
spot as
God.
president and Paul Ryan is VP? So
Oh God.
Paul Ryan doesn't become VP.
Yeah, he does
That's
not
not how
become
that
VP.
works.
Yeah, it's not how it works, Paul.
that's not how that works. Who becomes VP then?
The Senate votes on a
Yeah.
candidate that is appointed the VP. That's how Ford was made VP.
Oh, that's how that works.
Yeah, that's how it's always worked.
Silly Paul.
I don't know about the VP.
It's okay.
I was doing a lot of drinking last night. Paul was doing
Um,
body shots on people. Like he had to give him a break. Give him a break.
It's okay.
Gotta
It's
rub
a,
that-
it's a useless fact that
That
I know.
certainly
that
Paul,
did.
you
in
were
my-
so degenerate, Paul.
That certainly did not happen, but
Yeah, no, the House determines the presidency, and the Senate votes on the vice president in the case
What
of.
if What if
That
like
makes sense,
Hillary
actually.
and Weiner were just trading nudes? Like, could that just be a possibility? Or like,
Why would Wiener do that to himself?
I think
like they could be.
I think that would hurt her.
Really?
I mean,
Hold on, the hypothetical scenario, right?
Yes, this hypothetical. What do you think would happen if that she
Don't
was
worry, Dan. I'm going to pull us back on track here.
All right.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I would love to have it be like a movie scene where like it comes out and she's like, scowls evilly, and then like the people just impeach her by acclamation, and then they impeach Tim Kaine, and whoever comes next, they just keep going until like only the Republicans are left.
Rand
and then
Paul.
Yeah, he's fine. And then the Republican Party renames itself like the National Populist Party, and we just have like a bright new dawn for America. But honestly, if Clinton gets elected, even if she doesn't get elected, there is no way in hell she's going to jail. They're not going to let it happen.
No.
Because like Paul, what you were saying before about like they're all elites and they collude together, that's true. It's a club, and they're not going to jail one of their own. Now she could be publicly disgraced and forced to retire from political life, and that's the best I can hope for. But there's no way in hell she goes to prison.
Yeah.
She loses 2020 then. All right, Danny, what do you think would happen? Do you think what Charlie said is accurate?
To me? Or
Danny. We'll go Danny, then we'll go. Yeah.
I just got rooms. All right, go ahead.
I think if something serious comes out, the most likely scenario is she doesn't run in 2020. The specifics on what happens to her, if she wins, I'm inclined to believe she doesn't go to jail for the same reason Ford pardoned Nixon. There's a certain desire to avoid that spectacle and that stigma on the American government.
Okay, fair enough.
And it's the same reason Obama didn't pursue charges towards anyone in the Bush administration over very legitimate cases to be made about war crimes and torture.
He should have. The Bush administration was terrible.
Well,
Agreed.
there's honestly some disagreement there.
War crimes. Let's not get off topics.
Listen, I'm saying there's a case to be made, and they easily could have been trials.
Oh no, the Geneva Convention.
The reason we avoid them with that level is we risk hurting our standing by punching ourselves. And I tend to agree with that decision, though. However, it may sit uncomfortably with me. It's the same reason I think Ford was right to pardon Nixon and et cetera, et cetera. It doesn't have to sit well. It doesn't have to be what's right, per se.
So if you're president of the United States, you can break the law and not go to jail. Great.
That's actually what Nixon said.
Yeah, he did say that.
Yeah.
So protect the elites. All right.
Again, not the elites. Like if she
Screw Levy, hang that son of a bitch.
President. Like,
can we arrest Soros too?
Let's put it this way: if she loses, I think there's a far more serious chance, if she were actually charged with something serious, that she could go to jail. Or more likely, it gets litigated until the day she dies. That's the more likely scenario. But what I'm saying is, with the president, we enter an awkward situation. Everyone under the president, I think, mostly is subject to that potential. It's when you get to president, we have this situation where it's like, are we risking hurting ourselves doing this?
All right, Frank.
Is it worth it?
Frank, your opinion?
I don't think she's gonna go to jail. She'll get pardoned the same way Ford pardoned Nixon. Just because, not because of the whole our standing in the world, it's just because it's party politics and their friends. That's as simple as it is. He's not going to let her go to jail because it's going to harm his legacy and the Democrats' party as a whole. So he's just going to pardon her.
All right, yeah, that's a fair assessment. I tend to agree with. I guess all three of you. We basically said the same thing. What Well, we all agree.
In a different context, yeah, we actually did.
Different context. Yeah, it's rare that we all agree, but
It's bipartisan.
There would have been more agreement if we had been able to talk about criminal justice reform.
it's quad partisan.
It is quad partisan. You're right.
Yes. All right. So yeah, Hillary Clinton will likely get pardoned. That's just the way it is. Even if there is anything, if it's really, really damning, we'll see what happens. But if it's just something,
I just want to say, if Obama does not pardon her, I'm going to get like a giant portrait of him in my room. Like I'm just going to knock down the Jackson Pollock and just put Obama right there. I'm just going to.
For a second, I thought you said he had a portrait of Andrew Jackson, and I was very excited for a second.
No. I have Jackson Pollock, unfortunately.
King Jackson.
If only.
Oh my God! If only.
This is obviously even in the hypothetical that there's something to follow up on.
All right, so
the more likely situation.
It probably is. It's probably being destroyed somewhere, like server. But
right, because they're investigating Wiener's wife. What's her name again?
Huma Abedin.
Yeah.
You're right. They're investigating. Well, I actually don't think. Did we even explain what happened? Like Anthony Weiner, his case with the fucking.
Okay. Can I do this?
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. To all our viewers out there, do not send risky text to a 15-year-old in a different state. That's all you need to know. That's why it's happening.
And not as a politician or as anyone else.
Yeah. Do not, because that is a federal crime in a different state, because it's in a different state, and she's 15. That's why this is happening, and I think there was pressure to investigate Weiner because of that.
The Democratic Party and perverted males.
Yeah. So, and then from that investigation,
because
they took
of
his laptop.
Masculinity.
Toxic masculinity.
And they
took his laptop, and they were able to find that or allegedly find, or they had their emails connected to Huma, Hillary, and etc.
And because of that, they're now investigating. And that's why they sent the letters to Congress. So that's the breakdown. I don't think we actually brought that up. So I'm glad.
No, we did not.
Which it might have been bad. So if you got this far, good for you. Now you know. But
I mean, we mentioned that the emails pertain to Clinton's case. That was the important part.
Yeah.
But it's good for people to get like the general breakdown on how it happened and how everything goes down to Anthony Weiner being a cuck.
Oh God.
Can you all agree with that?
Yeah.
I think if we're being
Good job,
technical,
Paul.
if we're being technical, his wife is the cuck in this situation.
I am so happy.
It is shorthand for cuckold.
That's right. I am so happy that this word is getting more use. It's a word that deserves everyone saying it.
Oh, cucks.
I don't even feel bad for Huma. She knew. That's what she got herself into.
Yeah, I mean,
no one. Let's put it this way: no one on any ideological spectrum feels bad for Anthony Weiner. Democrats hate him.
No.
But shouldn't he be mayor of New York City?
God damn it, he was winning and I was supporting it. And I'm not going to get into this.
Oh, actually, can I point something out though? It was my favorite joke being made when the case broke and the reports came out that it was related to Anthony Weiner. It was only earlier this year that this 15-year-old incident came to light and incited all this. So several people on Twitter, a lot of reporters mostly, were pointing out, oh, come on, this is Chekhov's gun. If you introduce Anthony Weiner in the first act, it has to come out to pay out in the third act.
That's good.
There was this interesting tweet, because didn't, Charlie, you might know more about this than I would, but didn't Donald Trump tweet something kind of predicting like Anthony Weiner?
Yes, he did.
Charlie, talk about that, because I thought that was an interesting read.
Oh yeah, so basically Trump tweeted out that that basically Anthony Weiner was a security risk. That his being married to Huma and her being so close to Clinton, like there was a security risk involved there. And it turns out he was right. Now look, it's quite possible this is out of context, he's referring to something else. But
he was just shitting on him at the time that the case broke earlier this year.
But it could also be true that my suspicions are confirmed and the God Emperor is clairvoyant.
And omniscient, I would argue.
Well, it's like what they say about God. He is omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient.
Of course.
Scary. Not like
And with
John Watchman all the time.
with social media and with the news coverage, Trump is kind of all of those things.
That's certainly true. I mean, he's certainly everywhere. Can't escape him. All right,
Try as I
so
might.
try as we might. All right, so I guess we can probably end it off there. Does anyone have any last statements that they want to make, or any
All for
additional,
president 2016.
any
That's
additional information you feel is good to present at this point? No. Okay. Well,
Well,
I'm trying to think.
I have something I'd like to say real quick.
go ahead.
Well, like Dan follows snarky reporters, I follow snarky right-wing bloggers. And one of them tweeted out, basically, it's like, when you cuck your wife so hard that you save Western civilization. And
Wow.
that's about how I feel right now. Feeling pretty good.
Right. So, I mean, again, my general opinion is I think it's going to really get the people on the right passionate about voting for Trump because they don't want this corruption and independence as well. I'm not sure if it's going to change the results of the election, but it's certainly going to make it a closer race, and that's much appreciated for people that are involved in politics, like the four of us are, because we want a tight race because it's more interesting that way. Do you all agree with that point?
No.
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 I want a
Okay.
Trump landslide. What are you talking about?
I want a tight race just because to save the Congress and the Senate. I don't care about the presidency. But
Okay.
God damn, they're both awful. But there you
Thus
guess-
spoke national review.
I guess I'm alone.
go. Yes.
All right, so I will end it there then. So for those of you who watched to the end, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions, ask down below. If you enjoyed our podcast, please share it with your friends, your family, whoever the hell else you talk to. I don't know. This has been the Political Spectrum Podcast with Paul, Charlie, Danny, and Frank. Until next time, guys, peace.
Tschüss.
Bye.
Nice.
Whoops, hold on.
Oh, we're still live? Oh, damn it.
We are encountering technical difficulties.
I clicked the wrong
Well, to our audience, we are not covering.